Good evening and welcome to the final Pink 'Un Show this season, your hour of dedicated Norwich City programming that definitely probably shouldn't do a lap of honour to sign off for the year. We are live right now on YouTube and on Mustard TV in Norwich to round up all the very latest Canaries talking points. Heading into the summer, we'll hear from Stuart Webber, Steve Stone, John Ruddy, Wes Hoolahan, as well as you guys, and cover all the bases ahead of our summer vacations. Am I getting one? As for here in the studio, he's shaking his head. Alongside me, we've got my main man, former City Player of the Season, Darren Eadie, plus Big Grant Holt, aka John Rogers, and a special end of season bonus in the shape of ex-City defender and FA Cup winner with Coventry, and another City Player of the Season, Greg Downs. Woo! Wowzers.
How do you feel?
Between
us two. Does that feel good?
John,
I've got nothing of the season.
John.
It's a thorn, isn't it?
We'll make you feel like that. By
Video of the
show,
season.
Sure.
There you go.
There we go. And as I mentioned tonight, it is live. Who would have thought? So take advantage and get in touch with us directly in the studio on the old phone and what have you. Simply post your thoughts and questions in the live chat on YouTube. Send a tweet with the handle @Pink'un or give us a bell. The number you need is 01603 63 0006. Right. For the final time this season, let's bring you the latest headlines. May the coach be with you in May.
That's awful.
Fresh news. I'm being heckled. Fresh news on Norwich City's new head coach search has been a little infrequent, but we got some details from Sporting Director Stuart Webber this week. They should be in post by the end of May. They are in employment as we speak, and their season is most likely still in progress. In some ways, that poses more questions than it answers. It was the Hula fans what won it. Don't get me wrong, do not get me wrong, he's been excellent at times this term, but Wes Hoolahan walking away with the 2017 Player of the Season award was as much about his consistency and excellence during 9 fantastic years at Norwich City. A true Canaries hero, we await next season's testimonial with giddy excitement. You say goodbye, and we'll say hello. Come on, Darren. Hello, hello.
Leave it to him. Leave it to him.
Wow. Carrying this show. John Ruddy got the reception and occasion his 7 years at City deserved, while Stephen Whittaker and Ryan Bennett took part in Sunday's lap of appreciation following the 4-0 Carrow Road thrashing of QPR. Sebastian Bassong was in France voting that day, but made sure he said a special goodbye during Monday's end of season dinner. He's gone rogue. The old faces have now left. The real fun starts now. Adiemi set for an about turn.
They're getting worse. He's gone. What's wrong with him tonight?
An about
About time.
What's up here?
All right. It's an early one. That did not work. It's an early one and arguably a bit left field, but it's already showing the clamour for rumours. Hometown boy and academy product Tom Adiemi scored against City at Rotherham in January. This summer, he's out of contract at parent club Cardiff. That has led the rumour mill to suggest Ipswich and Norwich are among his potential suitors. Bring Tom home. I'm not sure how many are with me on that, but definitely don't send him to Ipswich. And finally, are you missing it yet? Yes, the season ended on Sunday with QPR's thrashing at Carrow Road. It's all right, it's the last one of the season. And Ian Holloway busily looking through a camera lens for no apparent reason. Legend has it that during the game, Ollie turned to the City fans behind the visiting dugout and said, "Why are your lot..." There he is. I mean, that was wonderful timing. He turned to the visiting fans, presumably not pointing the camera, and said, "Why are your lot not going up?" I give you Ian Holloway, the voice of reasoned debate.
Good work. Well done.
We got through it.
Got there anyway.
Darren, just about. Did we? I'm not entirely sure. Darren, John, Greg, thank you so much for coming in to send off the season in style. Darren.
It's been a odd season, isn't it? Ups, not many. A few lows. It's just been a season I think we want to forget pretty quickly and actually look forward to next, because I think it's really quite exciting what's happening at Norwich at the moment, and just hope we don't leave ourselves a little bit short in terms of numbers. But I think what they're doing and what I'm hearing from inside there in terms of the youth and the recruitment is actually something we should have done 5-10 years ago. So it's quite exciting.
That's good. I mean, as a journalist, this time probably until the middle of June is terrible because everyone stops working. But we've got stuff happening. We know there is going to be a major rebuild, and you guys excited about it?
Yeah, I think it's something that's been needed, isn't it? I think they needed a revamp of what's going on. I think in past seasons, it's been the signings have been so late in the off season that people haven't really got excited about the new season as it were. And I think they need to get some deals done early and so people can see what's coming and get excited. So then all of a sudden we're looking forward to the season. I think last season was a little bit of an anticlimax really when the season even started because nothing had really come in. There was nothing really to expect. Well, I think that was the problem. I think most people thought we'd just go up automatically anyway.
Well, I think we were left disappointed through both transfer windows, weren't we? Which then sets yourself up really, for the rest of the season, doesn't it?
And a cracking point that with so much rebuild to do, you need some of it done early, don't you? You need to make a quick start.
Well, I don't know if it gives us an advantage, but it seems like we've got momentum at the moment because we've got Webber's come in and he's kind of got the ball rolling already in us. All the fans are excited. I hope he can pull it off as well.
Also, I think it does feel like you've already got a few signings. I think like Pritchard being given the chance. He feels like a new signing. Madison coming in and doing what he's done. He feels like a new signing. There's still a lot of younger lads coming through as well, which is quite exciting in Norwich. I mean, the Murphy boys apart, there hasn't been anything for the last 20 years. So it feels quite exciting the way the club's taken that new turn to bring those young lads through. And even just getting involved within the squad is vital because if they get on the pitch and they play a few games, all of a sudden their value goes up straight away. So just get them involved.
That's spot on. And we'll hear from John Ruddy and Wes Hoolahan later in the show. But John Ruddy's send-off on Sunday. I mean, that sort of thing doesn't happen very often, does it? Really, John, when you distill it down, you have to be a special player to get that kind of send-off, don't you, Darren?
I didn't get one.
Didn't get one at all?
Didn't get a chance.
Are you on the Darren Huckabee levels of send-offs?
Yours was better than Darren Huckabee's being just booted out.
I didn't get booted out the door by Glenn Roeder, so anything tops that, doesn't it, to be honest?
Just like you got shoved at the back door and just like...
No, I got told I had to leave by Bruce Rioch
and
by the football club, because the club go into administration, so...
The end of the contract's a little bit different to being sold, isn't it?
Yeah, too useful when you left, weren't you?
Well, one leg was. My left knee was a bit turmoil. But yeah, it's...
But it's interesting you say that, though. Is it still in the back of your mind that you didn't get that kind of send-off?
I think so, yeah. Because not from you want to receive it from the fans, but also you want to thank the fans for the time you give them. And I was at the club from a kid, right through the youth system. So not be able to get that and get the opportunity to say that. Because you can't really go to the club I went to Leicester. I can't then sit up and do my press conference and start talking loads about Norwich and how much I miss it. Because you can't do that. You've got to get on with it. So yeah, very few players get the opportunity to say goodbye.
I was fortunate at Coventry. I must admit, I was there for 5.5 years, and it was something I didn't expect. So suddenly at the end of the season, I was told that you're off, you're going. I actually got presented with a lovely silver salve, and it's probably more important to me than anything else.
I'm still waiting for mine.
You had that.
I don't think John got a silver salve.
It was just nice, you got that recognition of them.
Are they going to miss John Ruddy?
No.
Ooh.
I
don't think so.
No, not
personally. Not personally, no.
I think everybody has a shelf life at a football club, and I think John, same when Ewan left. I think, and eventually when Huck's left, I think you always kind of want to leave on a high. You stay around too long, it does get a bit stagnant, and we know what happens then.
We do. We know what happens then.
You end up in 8th, 10 points adrift to the chaos.
Whoops.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I got the chance to speak to City Sporting Director Stuart Webber and Managing Director Steve Stone at Colney earlier this week. We talked money, squad rebuilding, angry Alan Irvine, Carrow Road atmosphere, and of course, the search for City's new head coach. Here's some of what they had to say.
Stuart Webber, in the job, you settled in. How's it been?
Good, really good. I've been here a month. Had a real sort of good look at everything now, and I've been really impressed, I've got to say. I think we've got a good squad of players. Okay, it needs work of like every squad in the country. Some really good staff, some really good practices, and really good protocol which happens. I think a real desire to bring a togetherness with the club, from Colney to the stadium to the supporters to you guys in the media. I think there seems a real sort of sense of openness, and that's really important. So after a month in, I've been really, really impressed with what I found.
It's been some season, hasn't it? Are you glad it's all over?
It's been an interesting season. There's been a fair few changes, and I am looking forward to moving forward into next season. I mean, that started really a few weeks ago in terms of putting a new structure in place, but it's when the season officially ends with the last game of the season, it is a lot easier to talk about the future than when you're in a season, I think it's fair to say.
We have to be creative, for sure. To make funds available to do stuff, we have to be creative in what we do. The key is we don't want to sell certain players, of course. And if we do, it's because it's at a price which is, really acceptable for us. I mean, fortunately, we're not in a position where anyone's got a gun to our head, so we're in a sort of strong, let's say, negotiating position. But I think it'd be wrong of me to say that there won't be squad movement outs to help us do some work in. I think that would come back and haunt me at some point from you guys, would come and say, hang on a minute, you said that wouldn't happen. We have to be realistic.
I think we're getting the right structure in place to do it. We've got pieces still to fill, the head coach being the obvious one of those, and we've got a lot of player trading to potentially get through in the summer. But if we do all that, and I think we've got the right people in place to do it and the right support to do it, I'm confident for next season. But it's until you actually see the team playing, you don't really know.
Closer, we always said towards the end of May, 2 to 3 weeks from the end of the season, which obviously finished Sunday. People are still in jobs, if you take the European leagues, they've still got a couple more weeks to go. Take domestically, we've got the playoffs, so the season isn't done. Unfortunately, ours is, and it's done earlier than probably any of us really wanted, unless we'd gone up as champions or second place, but it is. And again, we just need a period of patience, because, as we've said before, we have to get it right. The good thing is I've had a month in the role, sit with the board, clear direction, how they see it, talk about the type of profile of the person, so at least that's helped to really narrow down what that person will look like. Because when I'm asked on first day, I have my strong beliefs of what that person needs to look like, but I work for the club, and it has to be a way which the club are ultimately supportive of.
And you can watch both of my interviews in their entirety over at our Norfolk Now YouTube channel. Interesting guys, good to speak to them. I mean, they've got interesting jobs ahead, haven't they, really, Stuart Webber? And it looks like the head coach may not be as cut and dried as Summers maybe thought it would.
No, it appears, if they're clearly still in work, it appears it's going to be someone like Gary Monk or a European manager. And that's kind of the way I think it needs to go. I just think it needs a fresh face, completely someone we have no opinion of before they come in. And that's what's been successful at Huddersfield to a certain extent. I mean, successful at Huddersfield, but actually a playoff spot for Norwich probably next year and not going up isn't a success. So.
I just wondered, the fact that they said he's still actually working at present time. So does that mean someone who's in the playoffs? We don't know. I mean, so then, of course, because of Webber's connection, I'll be looking at Wagner. Yeah. Who knows?
And it could be someone at a club in Europe as well. Quickly, John, Mitchell Dykes,
Yes.
would you sign him next year?
Yeah.
I'll do it. Brilliant. Top work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well said.
That's part done. Part one done. We're heading for a break on mustard. And if you're watching on YouTube, you're about to get some bonus studio time. Who knows what fun and games we'll have. But when we're back together, it will be very soon. And don't go anywhere. Hi, YouTube. Apologies for the worst ever end part link.
I wouldn't say it's your worst ever.
I mean, that was
you've
terrible.
had worse.
That was
You've had worse, mate.
awful.
I liked it.
So Mitchell Dykes,
yeah.
you were like mid-sentence.
Yeah.
Yes,
What do you think?
I would.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
That was
thanks,
it.
John.
No, not much we want.
But as much as we say yes, we would. I mean, is it even viable? Is his wages
Personal
terms
will be the
expensive,
deciding.
isn't it? Obviously expensive.
and is it likely to? Are they likely to push the boat out for a left back?
I thought there's a really interesting line said at the end of season dinner where
Oh,
Stuart
you
Webber
were- okay.
was talking when he said, the thing is, do we want to sign a left back who can play centre back, or do we want a left back that can bomb on and push forward? I was like, all right. Do you not want Mitchell Dykes? I don't know. And I guess there's an element if he's expensive and there's a better option more akin to what they'll want.
But also again, that's what I mean. It comes down to the structure of how the new manager wants his team to play. If he doesn't want fullbacks that bomb on and he wants someone to sit, actually probably Mitchell Dykes isn't the right one you want.
But this is the strange thing, isn't it, in the modern game, in the sense that they talk about doing the European sort of way of doing it, where they bring a player in, set a coach, there he is.
Yeah.
And I've never understood that, because you bring a manager or coach in purely because obviously when you interview him, he says to you, I want to play that way, that's what I want to do. Then if you suddenly chuck a player that can't play his way, then what's the point of doing it that way? Surely the coach has got to have a big say in who comes in, what players come in.
Yeah, you think so? I think they'll be working together, won't they? It'll be the
Should
manager
be,
and
so,
him
yeah.
saying, "This is
That's what we're
the
hoping,
system
isn't it?
we're playing. This is how we want to play.
Yeah.
You go and find me those players," and that's
I
what the
think so,
manager
yeah.
does.
I think if they can get that relationship together. I think
But with
it'd be
Dykes, I mean, I think he's done well.
He's
but
solid,
I
isn't
think we
he?
said he's pulled up trees.
No, he's solid.
He's
It's
been.
got that hard man thing. People love it, don't they?
But then is it worth that much money for someone who is?
okay.
There's plenty enough of them out there in the lower leagues you could put in as a left back and do well enough. I think.
I think it's
Plus
a choice
the
of
Dykes could do
him
is going to be cheaper.
or lots of other smaller players, you know, from lower leagues maybe.
Well, I think obviously straight away the people that have been let go, he's obviously looking at the wage bill, isn't he? So he's going to try and cut that back as quick as he can. So maybe on that alone, then he won't keep him, because he's thinking, well, hang on, I don't really want to push him back that much. I've got to try and get some stability in here.
That's clearly why they've got rid of the players they've had to get rid of.
Well, he can't. I don't think they'll break the bank for anybody.
No,
I think they'll have a certain
anymore. I think
money.
those days are gone now.
Yeah. And they have
Well
to.
done, everyone. That was YouTube. That's exciting, isn't it? We'll be back on in 6, 5. I'm not going to count it all. 4,
3.
We're leaving.
Oh.
No,
okay.
I know.
They missed all the best bits, didn't they, in that break? Well, the
They
people
did.
watching now, the YouTubers got it all, didn't they?
It was much better than that end link at part 1. Yeah. Welcome to Talk is Cheap, where your calls, questions, comments and posts lead our Norwich City agenda for the next 20 minutes or so. Probably 24 minutes. Oh, bonus 4 minutes. With me, Darren Eadie, John Rogers and Greg Downs, ready and waiting. To get in touch with us here in the studio or on this very phone, this is all live, do it now. Simply post your comment or question in the live chat feed on YouTube. Send a tweet with the... Oh, no, he's got my phone. With the handle @Pinken, or give us a call on 01603 63 006. Now, we have I'm actually genuinely nervous. We've got our first caller on the line. It's Bruce Wallace.
Is that you, Michael?
Yeah, that's me. You'll be on there in a minute, Darren, if you keep this up.
Without being...
Bruce is on the...
Bruce.
Bruce is on the line, Darren. Bruce, thank you so much for calling in. Bring some order to this chaos and tell us what you'd like to talk about in terms of Norwich City.
Was when I saw the thing in the press about giving Naismith a free just to basically unload the cost. I thought to myself, well, that really doesn't add up, because if they give Naismith a 3, effectively they're going to sort of write off, say, £3.5 million on his transfer, and then the likelihood is that they're probably going to have to sort of pay up on his contract, which I actually worked out would cost another £3 million. So basically, to get rid of Naismith on a free would cost something like, I don't know, £6 million. And that's £6 million on the debit side of the ledger before we even start restocking our team. I mean, I would have thought the sensible thing would be to do some sort of deal with Naismith where he takes a pay cut to, say, 35, 40 grand or less than that. And then on the condition that if we go back up next season, then he can go back onto his 50 grand deal. But, you know, just to let it be known that Naismith's available on a free seemed really bad tactics to me.
Well, gents.
I'd say, would you, Bruce, take that money? Deduction, half price, just because you want to... He's not going to... He's got no sentiment to Norwich.
Well,
why would he?
He's not going to do it at his age now. He's on a great contract.
I think as
he
well...
can see that out and earn a fortune, that's his family sorted. What's he going to take a cut for?
It's kind of all ifs, buts and maybes as well. I think it could be a case where we say to Naismith, look, if a club comes in, they're going to pay the same wages you are on at Norwich, we'll stop the contract, you continue your contract with them, and then away you go.
Which is why it would be a free. Yeah. And basically, Stephen
that's the way
Naismith
it's got to
would
go.
take the signing on fee as a transfer.
As long as
fee.
you don't have to pay him off, as it were.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you are losing double bubble, aren't you, as it were?
I will eat my hat if he goes for a free.
That's your favourite hat, you can't
What, the red hat?
The red
That's
hat.
not, is it?
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't eat that one.
It's my favourite.
If he goes on a free.
If he goes on free, I'll eat my hat.
Ketchup or
Well, I
mayonnaise?
have a feeling that the club have kind of said, no, he probably won't go on a free. But, I mean, how important do you think that Stephen Naismith could be next season then, Bruce? Because we've kind of been waiting, haven't we? And we've seen really good spells. Alan Irving couldn't have spoken more highly of him.
Well, I mean, I think it's taken a long time for him to sort of come into some sort of form at Norwich. But I think since Irving has been managing, I think he's shown his ability, and I think we need a bit of a hard man in there. I mean, I know he's not exactly a Bradley Johnson situation, but if we get rid of him, we're going to have to replace him with something like to like. And though we've got some really good midfielders casting round in the young, you know, James Middleton and co., there's no real hard man. And so unless you actually go out and spend some of the money you save on getting a sort of Bradley Johnson type, then it could be a false economy. I mean, Naismith, I think, he's got, 2 years left? And I think that he actually, like most players that come to Norwich now, likes living here. So I don't actually think that he'd particularly want to move on unless he's pushed into it.
Thank you. Thanks for your call, Bruce. Much appreciated. I mean, we feel like we spent a lot of time talking about Stephen Naismith.
Well, he's another one that's done okay, isn't he? You know,
I mean, what he just said there, when he said like we need to bring a like for like in. You got to look at the season we've just had.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring a like for like in? To me, they should be looking for something a little bit different because obviously that hasn't worked this season.
Yeah, and also depends on the system again that the new manager wants to come in and play and how he wants to play them.
Yeah.
Because for me, again, Naismith's been and a lot of players under Alex Neil a bit that square pegs round holes. And he's kind of played in that position. At the end of the day, he was good when he was playing alongside someone like Lukaku. I mean, he's going to make you look good, someone like that. So if you can get if you can get stronger, who's going to hold things up.
Yeah.
He might well come into his own, I think. But you've got to have the right kind of striker alongside him.
Well, that is the key point. A couple of comments here on Big Mitchell Dykes. NCFC with a space. He says, Big Mitch needs to stay. I love the man. And then David McKenzie says, Mitchell Dykes, love him, but red card waiting to happen.
You
know what was coming then, didn't you?
We said it a lot, haven't we?
James Byrne says, Big Grant Holt. Sort of laughy smiley face twice. I think he means it in a nice way.
Is he your
My face,
stalker?
James Byrne,
Look
big
at me
fan.
going
He's probably written that as well, which is good. And what else have we got here in terms of Ranwolf? Is it Ranwolf? Sorry, I'll say it properly. Ranwolf, all one word. Is it important to find players that will make the transition to the Premier League? I'm in that category. I think Mitchell Dykes might have a good case for being purchased. Did the lights go then? I mean, basically, can you bring players in now, looking ahead to the top flight?
Well, I think we've made the mistake of buying Premier League when we're in the Championship. And one thing I heard Rafa Benitez say and Steve Bruce both say is you've got to buy for the Championship, different type of player. So I think
mentality, isn't it?
To anticipate you're going to get in the Premier League would be a mistake.
If we were going up, we'd buy him.
Yeah.
Would have bought him by now. Because we're in the Championship, we just don't have the finances. I don't think he would want to take a lesser wage than he's probably on. I don't know.
I think Stuart Webber as well doesn't really want to commit on too much until the new manager
I
comes
think
in.
that was a mistake they made last season, because you kept hearing it come from the club saying they had a Premier League squad. But honestly, no, they didn't, because they got relegated. No, so they weren't a Premier League squad, and that's why, for me, they thought, well, we'll get by with that because, and they'll get us back up again. Well, not be fun in a year, as we know in football. Things change in football in a year, and I don't think we were equipped to go back up.
Well, I think we all said it. I mean, and even heard Russell Martin say it. I'm fed up with people saying we're a Premier League team because we're not. We're not. As simple as that. We're not good enough.
No.
And I mean, Tim Closer, I think, has said that it was his hardest. Playing in the Championship was the hardest challenge he's had. He did kind of look at it at times, didn't it, John? A little bit.
He's got a heady ball a bit more.
He's had an easy life, hasn't he?
Yeah.
God, blimey.
That knows he
if
has.
that's the hardest he's had to do. Yeah, mate.
But I mean, that's the case in point, really, isn't it? That Tim Closer struggled to adapt to the Championship.
Yeah,
and we had such high hopes for him. And he's another one where, do you keep him for next year?
We're talking very often, mate. He's never headed the ball so much in his career. He's normally, it's more positional play and keeping the ball on the floor. I wanted him to stay because I saw a good potential, and I thought he'd be much better than he was this season. He's been okay.
My worry is his pace.
Yeah, I was going to say. I don't.
I can remember the game in the Premier League when he played against Chelsea. He went into midfield, lost the ball went out wide. Well, I thought he was treading water.
Yeah, same.
He must have taken 5 minutes to get back over the halfway line. And I thought,
yeah.
It's straight away. And the game is that way now. You've got to have pace.
Yeah.
You've got to have pace, and unfortunately he hasn't got it.
No, I totally agree.
Brett Harvey says Naismith has the leadership qualities and isn't afraid to speak his mind, which we love, obviously. Roger Mallet, hello everyone from a hot and humid Florida.
Wow.
On the Wall City.
That's for some, isn't it?
Got 4 very jealous people now, Roger. If Rudd is not the goalie next year, bringing in the solid number 1 and wages will surely cost the same as keeping Ruddy. So why not just do that, since we know what we are getting with him?
Well, I think Declan Rudd deserves his opportunity.
I do as well.
I think Premier League he came in and actually did all right, but he had a
couple of bad games and he was bombed.
But young kids
out.
come into a bad team at the time and struggling in the
Exactly.
Premier League.
Yeah.
He didn't do himself any harm, and actually, I think he's more than capable of Championship, for all that doubt. I think he's a good keeper.
We keep talking about the defence again, don't we?
Yeah.
The defence has not been good enough for
Let him
years and
down.
years and years now. And I must admit, for someone like Declan Rudd to play behind that defence at times, I mean, he'd come out shaking after every game. Bless him. I think it's very hard for him to come in and do well in that team.
Yeah,
I get shaken at most games.
yeah, we've all been there. We've got a tweet, I believe, off of the Twitter from Gary Slater. Here it is, about John Ruddy, is it? And another error of judgment. Let's hope we don't live to regret dispensing of a top keeper with to save a few gold coins. I mean, John, would have been on quite a lot, and there wasn't really the option to offer him less wages. He's at the prime part of his career and prime earning.
Yeah, it'd be a bit of an insult, I think, for the club to do that to him as well, which he kind of alluded to within his chat with you. But I think it's the right time for everybody with John Ruddy. There's plenty for one of those. There's probably another 3 or 4 that actually say we think it's probably the right time for him to leave, because, all due respect, he hadn't had a brilliant season. So.
No, he hasn't had a brilliant couple of seasons, really. It's a bit in and out. He makes mistakes now and again, which every keeper does, every player does. But they've been quite costly when he's made mistakes at times, and they've been real howlers, haven't they, when he's made them. But he's also made great saves as well, so let's not just look on the bad side.
And the thing is, again, he's playing behind a back 4 that's seriously let him down. And that's the difficulty. If you're a goalkeeper and you're getting pelted every single week, you're going to make mistakes. They all make mistakes.
Yeah.
But you had a sharp of intake of breath then.
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it instead.
Oh, no!
Save
it for the YouTube break.
Go on, say it.
Are you allowed to say it?
I don't know.
Is it a swear word?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Let me tell you after, during the break, and see if I can say
it. All right, YouTube bonus there, people. YouTube bonus. Join us during the break.
Can't wait.
We've got our second caller on the line, a gentleman. It is, I believe, Press Association Midlands correspondent of the football, and I'm sure Norwich City fans have seen him on Twitter quite recently as well. Nick Mashiter. Nick, good evening. Lovely to speak to you. It's been a little while. How are things? Keeping busy?
Not bad. Greeting from the hot and humid Midlands. Not as good as Roger in Florida, unfortunately. But
Midlands are hot.
Right.
That's what I would say. Nick, I mean, it's obviously been a really interesting couple of months, month or so for you, and I know what the game's like. You must take a bit of pride in the fact that, you've got to these stories first.
Yes and no. I mean, yourself, you always sort of look to go chasing the next one, really, don't you? So, and I think the next one, the next big one that everybody wants is the new manager, which I think we're probably still another 2 or 3 weeks away from.
Yeah, but Darren's asking me in my corner. Who is it, Nick? Who is it?
I think there's probably only 1 or 2 people who know that at the minute. I think things are being kept very, very, very discreet, shall we say?
Yeah, it's such a big appointment. I mean, we should say, Nick, you're a big Norwich fan. You got to be on the scrimmage last week as well, which is brilliant. And following the club in your job where you're in the Midlands, how have you seen it from the outside? Because you're clearly dealing with all those clubs in the Midlands, some in so many different situations. Wolves are sort of trying to recover from a torrid time. Villa are just splashing the cash and then still failed. I mean, how do you see Norwich in that kind of context?
To be brutally honest, I think over the last, we're coming up to 4 years now, I think they failed. They had a wonderful opportunity, and it's not as black and white. We know it's not as black and white as to get players in and get players out and mould the squad. But bottom line is, I think they failed. Stuart Webber has come in, and I know he said that he's looked like he's been really ruthless. But bottom line is, if the right decisions had been made over the last 3 or 4 years, he wouldn't have had to be as ruthless. He might not even be at the club, really, if the right decisions had been made. So I think they've been drifting. I think a lot of Norwich fans, myself included, had about 9 months to prepare for relegation from the Premier League last year, after the absolute nightmare of a transfer window they had in 2015. And as I said, it's not as easy to go about and just get these players, get the ones they want. But Norwich have been drifting for a long time, and they've been sleepwalking into this position that they've been in before Stuart Webber came in. And unfortunately, it's all of their own making.
Nick, we're live on YouTube, as you know. We've got a message in here from Stunning Gary Off, asking why he gets his exclusives and not Archon. I assume it's probably because you work harder, isn't it?
No, I think you guys probably work harder than I do. I think with respect to a lot of things in Norfolk and Kings Lynn Town and everybody like that, it's the big draw is Norwich. So you guys have got a lot more column inches to fill than I have. It's part luck, part hard work, as I'm sure you're aware.
is, Nick. Of course it is. I just like to get the questions out, you know, when they're roundabout. And there was one thing we'll take it to the panel in a moment. And obviously, if there's anything you want to ask these guys, then save that for after this. But there was one thing in the bit that you did with the scrimmage last week that I picked up on, which was you kind of said you didn't think that Norwich would probably go up next season, given, I guess, because of the amount of work and rebuild that Stuart Webber and co have actually got on their hands come this summer.
It's a huge job. I mean, let's not forget that a lot of the focus has been on Stuart Webber, and naturally 90% of what fans, what we look at is that 90 minutes on the pitch on a Saturday or a Tuesday or a Friday or whenever Sky want to put you on. But Steve Stone has a huge job on his hands as well, to try and get extra sponsorship, get extra money into the club. And there's going to be such a big turnover of players. We've already seen the start of it with the guys going, John Ruddy, Bennett, Basong, and the like. And I don't think anybody can say that that's the end of it. And realistically, can a manager, can a sporting director turn around a club that has been going on a downward trajectory for the last 2 or 3 years, regardless of promotion in 2015? Downward trajectory in the last 2 or 3 years in, 3 months? No, I don't think so. So, historically, it's harder to get promoted in the second season after you've been relegated. So I think they've got a serious job in their hands. I mean, just look at Sunderland, Middlesbrough will come down with aspirations. I think Steve Bruce will get Aston Villa sorted. Up here, Harry Redknapp will get the Birmingham job. Birmingham have money to spend. It's going to be a real tall order unless you get it absolutely right, and not just the signings, but the squad dynamic, the spirit around the place, which, let's be honest, hasn't been great. It's not cut and dried, mate. Yet they'll be thereabouts, but there's another 15 clubs in the Championship will be able to say that.
That is very true. Nick, thanks so much for your time. Well done on all your hard work over the last month, and obviously before that, not just a month. It takes a lot longer than a month, I can assure you. It's hard, and that's quite a realistic thing. And I know myself, I've gone on about how that first season is such a golden opportunity. It becomes so much harder afterwards.
I'm going to keep my powder dry on whether I think they're going to go up next season until we see what happens in the summer, because you can't really make a comment on it until you see. If they've got the squad they've got now, the players they've got, and they add to that a little bit, I think they're more than capable.
So I don't think it's a massive job that's needed.
No,
I don't think it's, you've got the nucleus of a good team there.
I think Webber's must be licking his lips thinking what he's walked into.
Exactly,
in terms of the playing squad, I think that, you look at Norwich's squad, as Holloway has said, and there probably lots of managers have them coming to Cairo this season. How are you lot not going up at some point? It just takes a rebuild of that, just a little bit of tinkering, I think.
I think so too. I think, I keep saying forever,
get them going.
Get that back four sorted out, and you haven't got a bad side.
No.
You're on a good foot right from the start.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And there must be key bits that Norwich are missing. If you were to list 2 or 3 things that they really need,
What should we think?
Go on.
What do you think is? What do you think is, John? Come on, John.
Well,
defensively,
a spine probably.
Yeah.
It's changed around so much. I mean, the goalkeepers coming in and out. McGovern's had to go. Ruddy's had to go. McGovern came back in. We haven't got a single left back. The midfielders have been injured quite often. There's been a change around in there. I know you need that. Wes has been doing well, but it's a bit away from home he wasn't doing. There's lots of little things, isn't there? When we're good, we are unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. That we've scored.
I think Wes has always been that way, hasn't he? Wes, to me, is a good player when Norwich playing well.
yeah.
He seems to just take it to that next stage. When the team's playing well, he'll take it to that next stage. When the team's struggling, then you can forget Wes almost. It's
I think the problem is
you're playing with 10 men.
They can't get him the ball then, can they?
No, that's what I'm saying. They're not confident enough to go and get it.
Kind of same for Pritchard as
They
well.
don't make the runs, they don't create the space, and that's what happens.
Shall we just mention Roger Mallett's been back in touch. What do we do with Yannick Vilskut? I think that's how you pronounce it. Do you think he will improve and perform? I mean, for me, I'd like to see him get a proper
good run
pre-season under his belt here.
It's a Pritchard scenario, isn't it? I think you've got to give him the opportunity to.
Never
To
seen
me,
enough of him,
he seems like whether the fee weighed heavy on his shoulders. It kind of happened quite quickly, and he went from being a kind of a £1 million player when he moved originally to Wigan from Middlesbrough, I think it was, to then being a £7 million player, and people looking at him thinking, we need you to kickstart our season. And I think that weighed heavy on him. He looks like he's the type of lad that takes that a little bit
money,
to
wasn't it?
heart. But I think fresh start,
Yeah.
pre-season behind him.
It was a big fee for a player like that, wasn't
I
it?
hope we didn't
Yeah.
spend 7 million on him. I really do.
I don't think it was quite 7 million.
Yeah,
If
but
it
either
was
way,
transfer.
I think he deserves the opportunity to show what he can do. He's got some talent.
We'll say we haven't seen enough of him, really,
No.
have we?
No, and whether he gets a chance or not come next season, we will see, of course. Brett Harvey, what do you think of the rumours? Tom Andiemi potentially returning to the club. Now, I think he's had a good season, Tom, and a lot of people I know who I say that to shake their head and go, he's not good enough.
I think he's had a good season. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a decent player, but I just don't think you can really go back to the club you've left.
Very rarely return. Don't return.
Never return.
And also,
Never the same.
And also as well, I think it's a bit naive of Norwich to do that, because it's
If
almost
they
like
are.
saying we've let our youngster go. We could have made a few quid on him. Now
Yeah.
we're going to buy him back for a fee. It's like you
Bit
just
like
stay
Pogba,
away from
really,
it.
isn't
Yeah, you just stay. Is he on a free?
I think so.
Well,
Isn't he?
that's
Is
pretty
that
take him on a
contract?
free, but
Yeah, contracts. He's
then
out
if
of
he's on a
contract.
free, why would you?
I always thought
Well, he's
that.
on a free from Cardiff because that's his home club. Now, actually, they're not renewing his contract. He's on the radio.
So why are they not renewing his contract?
I always think the thing that let Tom down was his pace. I don't think he's got enough pace in the midfield to kind of.
To be
against
fair,
Mark
we're hardly
Harrison.
short midfielders, are we?
No.
That's not the problem area, is
No,
it?
no, we've said it. How many years? Defence, sort it out.
Defence, sort it out.
Keep
There we
saying it,
go.
don't we?
Straightforward. We've got a tweet from
Just one.
Just one.
Lorraine
Oh.
Taylor. She says, I don't understand why they would want to keep Russell Martin. He's been as culpable in defence as the rest,
Yeah.
but seems to be covered in Teflon. Don't think she's talking literally there.
Well,
I mean, this is, where do we stand on
Sometimes
Russell
you
Martin?
sometimes you keep a talisman in the club, don't you? I
Yeah.
think, you know, we obviously, like we had, in my area, we had a great Duncan Forbes, and Duncan, we never left the club, and you knew he never would because he was part and parcel of the club. It was like synonymous with the team. It was like Duncan's at the club. And I think Russell Martin's getting that almost like notoriety within the city.
I think if there's one thing you need is a little bit of continuity between the playing staff, and I think Russ knows the club inside
Yeah.
out. And actually, it's not just about his ability on the pitch. And almost that becomes secondary now. I think for him,
I
It's
think
about
so, yeah.
The
Almost
what
like
he
an
can do within
ambassador.
the football club. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But he's still good enough to do it in the championship when needed. But I think it's about making sure he has that link between the players. and the
He's
club.
just so respected by the squad. I mean, the thing about him giving Ruddy the armband,
Yeah.
everyone
You need that.
appreciate that. Maybe it's not for we don't see it, but the stuff he does off the pitch is I think very
That's what
important
I meant.
job.
That's what I meant to say. That's how I meant to put it, John.
But
You'll be a
what he
great
does
team,
there is
you
good.
two. But I mean, it is about those things. I mean, there are a lot of things that he does that we don't necessarily all know about that would be a massive miss, I think, in the dressing room. The key thing for me is he seems to get a lot of stick for being a player who pushes beyond his abilities. He would say himself he has limitations, yet he gives it everything he's got each time, and he always gets stick for being in that position, and then some will say, you're not good enough.
Well, I think as well, if you put him at right back in a set back four, rigid set back four as defender, I think he'll do all right. You expect him to get up and down like as a wing back.
Cafu.
He's not going to do that.
I still think he's the best
Yeah.
right back in the club.
Yeah.
Oh,
really,
no, John's
I
having that,
honestly
Craig.
do. I think defensively, I think he's strong. He's a big lad. He gives you an option in the other box as well. He got goals in the other box. And I just think that if he'd have concentrated on playing as a right back, instead of getting his head turned when he goes off to Scotland playing centre half, then he could have. I don't think he would have got the stick he's got.
And let's be clear, Greg Downs is a former right back, so he knows his stuff.
John was going, I disagree with me. You know, we're talking about Greg.
We've got a tweet. Here we are from Nick Deal. I love how open Stuart Webber is with the media and fans. Heard more from him in 6 weeks than 6 months with Jez Moxey. Optimistic, indeed. No, I would have to say certainly get the impression Stuart Webber knows what he's doing.
Optimism doesn't bring success.
It doesn't, not on its own. Sam Naylor, sign up John Terry.
Yeah, no.
But we don't
John Terry?
No,
Not personally.
I'd love to see you talk, in terms of manager, if you are the structure Norwich are putting in, someone who's going to take over and actually have that role of working under a sporting director, someone like Ryan Giggs.
Ryan Giggs?
Why not? Roy Keane had his opportunity first in management like that, and to Sunderland and got them up.
Yeah, but are you talking John Terry as a player or as a?
I would assume as a player.
As a player.
Let's hope so.
I personally know.
Wouldn't take John Terry.
No, John. You'll have to find somewhere else. There you go. Sorry, John. That's us done for
Done
Talk
with
is
it,
Cheap. A huge thank you to everyone who got involved in this week's show and for everyone we've quizzed, spoken to, argued with and put on the spot over the entire season. Our first going live with the format, so rest assured, we will be back bigger and better than ever next term. As always, if you want to have your say in any future shows, simply get in touch via the pinkun.com message board or send us an email to sport@mustardtv.co.uk. And you never know, when the big news breaks over the summer, we may well be able to spring into life. So keep an ear out. And if you want to see tonight's show all over again, you can catch every piece of our Norwich City content over on our Norfolk Now YouTube channel. That is it for part 2 of the Pinken Show. We're headed into another break, but if you're watching on YouTube, then stay put for some extracurricular studio activities.
John has got a
John
special
speak,
question.
and we'll be back after the break with lots more stuff. See you in a bit.
You're on now. You're on YouTube. Go on,
We're
say it
on.
again. Say it again.
Ended up.
Oh, it
soaking
ended
wet,
up all over the place, did it?
walking out of a lake.
Just hanging out.
Oh, sorry.
Really? I like that. That was fun.
It was.
That's good. It's exciting.
I thought Greg was going to die halfway through that.
I did. I was still got a coffee, and I was like, "Oh, give me some water."
He
I
was scraping the last bits of water from
You
us.
had John's last bit. You know the
Well,
last
yeah,
mouthful.
We've become good friends. So we don't care.
70% spit.
That wasn't water. I would
That's,
never
okay.
say.
That's fine.
That's what they
mate.
say.
Hey,
70% spit in it.
when in the
Last
jungle,
mouthful.
you just have what you got.
Never have a
There
last
you
swig
go.
out of a can of Coke.
That's true.
70% spit.
We
Shouldn't drink up a bottle either.
Here we go, look, there's another extra message here. Kieran Shikari, great name. Stop bullying Russ on social media. Now, I don't know if he's directing that at us. But
Ooh, he's bullying
Oh,
us.
so
I
we
think
just
he
give-
needs
I'm
to
doing
I
just-
was going to think that.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Jake.
Very
Might
kind
as
of
well.
you.
Would you mind? Jake,
He had to wait. His head
Please,
to come
mate.
off.
I thought we were being quite
Nice of him
kind
to
actually
dress
to
up.
him.
Well, look,
It's
I
really
think,
hot in here, isn't it? That's why.
I think as
Yeah.
well, people look for a scapegoat when things go wrong.
scapegoat.
Defensively.
Yeah, I still think he's a good right back. I really do. He just concentrated on that. I think the trouble is he played centre half, enjoyed it. Because with all due respect, centre half is actually the easiest position on the pitch. He's never isolated
Especially up against one now.
Thank you.
all the time. Yeah, he just and I still think when he goes forward, I think he delivers it well. Yeah, I still
that
think he's
better?
pretty good.
Blimey.
He's joined in.
It's all right. We'll make this.
So,
It's warm.
have Leicester come calling for the goalkeeper
Spit.
gig yet?
It's urine.
No.
Have you got a mic?
Schmeichel's not leaving,
Can
by
anyone
the way.
hear you?
Kasper Schmeichel's not leaving, by the way. I'm talking to Darren's mic.
Yes, he is.
Even who?
There you go.
He's coming to Norwich.
Who's he
He's got-
leaving?
There's an opening at Norwich. So
Bigger club.
What do you think of my ripped jeans, by the way, Michael?
They're because of my
I mean, they are
they're good because we
disgrace.
can pull your hairs in.
We know you.
I'm going to See you later. Have a
We,
good go.
we know you didn't rip your jeans from your goalkeeping skills anyway. Didn't say that much. Did we see him dive? Did we honestly? I mean, he did this
No.
for a whole season. Did we see him dive once?
Well, I think on the last one he did. And that's why he kept
Was it
doing
the
those
wrong
slow
way? I
mos.
can't remember now. Slow
That's why he's doing
mos.
those super slow mos of him diving.
Take them jeans back.
But there we go. Apparently, Jake's got a new game for next year, but he hasn't told me what is
I've,
it.
I've heard a little bit about
Have you?
it. I'm not going to say anything because
Oh,
obviously
Jake, come
we
on.
can't tell.
We've got to wait social media within a month.
Within a month, that's nice and vague.
It'll take him that long to write the tweet, so that'll be exciting.
Big
Look forward
words
to
in it,
that.
probably, some big
Wonder what
words.
it'll be. Jake the Rake.
So you lucky people on YouTube, you lucky people. What an exclusive that was.
I can't believe you just said that.
Isn't
Amazing.
it?
Welcome to the final part of tonight's Pinken Show, the final one of the season, with me, with Darren Eadie,
Hello.
with John Rogers, with Greg Downs. So we've spoken about the two key figures from Sunday's season
I've just
finale.
noticed who's behind you, by the way, on the picture. We have to change them for next year, haven't we?
Nah,
Look at that.
that'll
John
be all right.
Ruddy and Alex
We'll leave
Neil.
them there.
Jinx. Whoever's on there next year don't want to be on there, do they?
I don't-
Your
I
fault,
can
is
only-
it? It's your fault.
You put two current players on the back of there next year, they're going to be thinking, oh, now I'm in trouble.
I can only
That's
see.
it.
I can only see green. I don't know what you're
Better not
looking
buy
at.
a house.
Jinx.
Where was I? Anyway.
Sorry.
Yes, two key figures from Sunday's season finale. But I reckon we should actually hear from them rather than just talking to them. So here's what John Ruddy and Wes Hoolahan had to say to me following their big days at Carrow Road.
Well, John Ruddy, an emotional day, I'm sure. How are you feeling at this moment?
Yeah, it still hasn't quite sunk in. You know, the last couple of days, obviously, last day training yesterday at Colney, hasn't sunk in that I won't be going to sit back in my spot. So, and today was a fantastic way to go out. You know, with a result like that and a clean sheet, and the opportunity to say goodbye to the fans was it meant a lot to me. So.
No doubt it's not an easy situation to have to deal with. When did you find out, and when did it sort of sink in?
I was told Tuesday, when just before it was released, about 11:15 my meeting was. So but you know, Stuart and Alan both made it clear that if I wanted to play today, then they wouldn't have a problem with that, and I was determined to play. And I said that you know it was never a question of not playing or not training. You know, I wanted to finish it off right, and you know, luckily today we got the result.
Yeah, that must have been how you dreamt it would go, wouldn't it, before the day?
It was alright, wasn't it? Yeah, it was all right. Not too much to do as well, which was nice. So yeah, could enjoy the day, enjoy the sun.
What happens now then? How do you plan for next season, and where next for John Ruddy?
Well, immediately me and my family will take a break, go on a holiday, you know, just have some relaxation time and reflection, and then you know my agent's working on that, and by the time hopefully June comes, we'll have some offers on the table, and then we'll go from there.
And just finally, where will this club stand in your career once it's all done?
Well, I can't put that into words. You know, the opportunity that it gave me 7 years ago when Paul Lambert brought me to the club for 250 grand, which doesn't seem like much at this day and age. You know, you'd never have dreamt it would go this well, and you know, obviously we've had our ups and downs, but I think there's been far more highs than lows during my time here, and I feel very proud to be part of arguably the most successful period of the club's modern history. And you know, it will always hold a special place in my heart, not just the club, the area as well. My daughter was born here, my son grew up here, and you know, it's somewhere where we'll probably come back to when I finish playing, like many of the former players do. I think that speaks volumes about the area as well.
Wes Hoolahan, player of the season, finally. It's been a while, it's been about time.
Yeah, it's been 9 years waiting for it. It's nice obviously to get the accolade, to be voted by the fans. It's a great achievement for myself and my family. You know, to be up there with Johnny House and Grant Holt has won it 3 times. Yeah, I'm delighted with it.
Would you say it's been your best season at Norwich City?
I don't know. Obviously, as a team, it hasn't been the best season for us. You know, our main aim at the start of the season was to get promoted, and we didn't do that. And but obviously, over the few years, you know, it's been good. But obviously, this year hasn't been.
To sign it off though today, and certainly with the Player of the Season award with 2 goals and 2 assists, ideal.
Yeah, it's a perfect way to end it. You know, to get a clean sheet as well, and especially for John to get his clean sheet and standing ovation you got. You know, he deserved a good send-off. You know, he's been here 7 years at the club, and he's pulled a lot of great saves off, and he'll be remembered for a long time.
Love Wes. And John, I mean, is there anything left to say about these two? Should we have a final word on them?
No.
All right.
In a word.
No word.
Move on. Look
Go
forward.
on, John, it's your big moment.
Next year's could be fun, isn't it? Because I think it's
The Westimonial?
the Westimonial, but that's the end of his contract as well, isn't it?
A current deal.
That'll be an emotional day. You talk about John Ruddy crying.
And let's talk about sentiment in the end of that season, isn't it? Do you
I'm
offer
going
another
already.
contract? Or
I'll
you say
probably be
thanks for coming
36
away?
then.
Yeah, that's
It's a good age.
I mean, we'll have this debate probably for the next 3 years, but we might as well start now. Where is he going to sit in terms of, you know, he's made more than 300 appearances, 50 goals. It strikes me as the kind of player we will all talk about, Wes Hoolahan, long after he's gone. When I'm old and grandkids, all the fans in the
Yeah, he'll be remembered without a doubt. I mean, he's been a great servant to the club, and at times his ability has been amazing, you know, on the ball. Absolutely terrific. As I said, I think there's a lot of players, you know, we can think of players all the way through the history, can't we? And you still remember them. Yeah. And I think he'll be one of those. He'll always be there in your mind, yeah.
definitely.
Wes Hoolahan, Darren Eadie.
It's funny you should just say that, because MAA Arms, real name, says Wes is the best player since Eadie.
Who? Nice. Thanks, Mum.
Yeah, well, could be. MAA Arms, is that an anagram?
I think Wes, he's been
Darren's
kind of
mum.
in and out of the team his whole career, isn't he? But
Yeah,
when he's in
yeah.
it, he's just special, and you'd love to watch
When
and
he's
have
hot, he's
someone
hot.
in your team like him, because he does something nobody else can do, and that's what sets him apart, and that's why he's won what he's won.
Creating's the hardest thing to do in football, and he does it easily at times. It looks too easy to him at times, you know.
Jake reliably informs me that MAA Arms is not an anagram of Darren's mum, apparently. So thanks, Jake, for that. There we go. Will we see less of Wes next season? Are we all taking that for granted?
Yes, we will see less of Wes.
I think with the emergence of Pritchard, yeah, I think we will.
Got to keep hold of that.
That's why we had to get Player of the Season this year.
Yes, well, yes, indeed. That's true. Right, let's wrap up all the championship details then, shall we, before we properly send this season on its merry way. Brighton blew it in the end. Chris Hughton's side, Jack Grealish's 89th minute equaliser at Villa Park placed the Championship title straight into the arms of Newcastle. Fulham won their possible playoff dress rehearsal at Hillsborough, while Huddersfield's post-season preparations suffered another defeat, this time at home to Cardiff. At the bottom, all three sides that started the final day in danger of relegation picked up wins, but it was Blackburn who couldn't do enough, and they became the first Premier League winners to drop into League One. They missed out by just 2 goals. They will join Rotherham and Wigan in the third tier next season. Ipswich finished 16th, just 4 points clear of the bottom 3. So the playoff semi-finals will see third-placed Reading take on informed Fulham and Wednesday face Huddersfield. The second leg of those 2 ties will take place at the home of the higher-finishing club. City finish 8th, 10 points off the top 6, 23 adrift of automatic promotion, yet joint top scorers in the division with 85 goals alongside Fulham and champions Newcastle. They were quite good going forward.
And here's a conspiracy theory for you as well, right?
Here we go.
Wagner actually played the under-23s, didn't he, for the last sort of few games?
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted to finish third because he knew he'd be playing Fulham. And Fulham
are the team,
and Fulham the team were on
They've
form
come
and
so
looked
strong.
good. I think he knows.
It'd be remarkable to try and make that happen.
Well, I mean, Fulham was so far behind at one point, there's only ever going to be able to finish to a certain level. And Wagner knew he could have caught Reading, so I think he played it safe. I thought I need to be third or fourth.
I think
fourth or fifth.
I fancy Fulham to get up.
Yes,
if there's one team you want to avoid in that, it's Fulham, isn't it?
Yeah.
They look fantastic. It is. Well, this is. I mean, it's going to be key. Fascinating to see what happens with Huddersfield from here, because they have got no momentum at the moment. Let's move.
Just move along.
You want to see
you better see my beautiful face.
Love it. We want to see your beautiful face. What was going to rattle through here? I mean, Gary Monk possibly signing a 5-year deal at Leeds.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I'm more a fan of trying to see a fresh look, a fresh start, someone no one's got any opinions of before they come in. As much as Gary Monk's done a decent job, I think he's doing a good job at Leeds and leaving be. I'd rather see someone fresh.
I think it'll be someone we haven't heard of. I'm starting to think that.
I said that we'd never heard of Alex Neil, have we?
No, that's true.
It worked for a bit. It certainly worked for a bit. Let's go through some proper quick-fire questions, shall we? Norwich finished above Ipswich again. That's not a question, that's a statement. Where should Norwich have finished?
Exactly where they are. You, over a season, you didn't
so,
tend to finish.
Higher.
Lower. Who is your player of the season?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't think it's been a stellar season by anybody, really. I think Johnny Howson was up there.
I think
he was just steady, wasn't he? Steady more than anything.
Yeah.
Johnny Howson.
I could think because they're twins, could they have shared it?
Maybe.
Why not?
Jacob and Josh.
Why not?
Just Jay Murphy on it, be fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Low light of the season.
Oh, where'd you start? Rotherham?
Yeah. I think that was the last time they won a game. I'm pretty sure they didn't win another game.
What, no?
And against him, I think so. Rotherham, yeah, no problem. Highlight.
Nowhere.
Got to be Reading, isn't it? I suppose it's 7.
Yeah.
Fucking 7.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. That too.
The Johnny volley.
Well, I was going to say goal of the season. Is that a given? Johnny Howson's goal against.
Oh,
yeah.
To see that with our actual eyes.
Technically, the hardest thing to do, hit a volley.
Where's this goal gets better each time I see it, though, I must admit. One player you still want here next season?
Pritchard.
Again, joint Murphys, both of them.
Joint Murphys.
I'd go Pritchard. The way he's finished the season, as long as we get the same player at the start of the season.
I've got written here head coach, but I've been trying to get a name out of you for a few weeks.
I honestly think it's going to come from the continent. I do believe that, and it's probably someone we've never heard of. That's the way.
I want Wagner.
Do you?
They know each other. I know they probably won't afford him, but he's the one for me. Go for him, full pelt.
He's done very well, hasn't he? So at the moment, I think his stock is rising, as it were. And I can't see him leaving Huddersfield, I must admit, unless, especially if they do get into the Premiership, of course, then no chance.
He won't come then. I think that's what.
No,
I think there's a chance if he doesn't go up.
I would agree. MWLKA give Wes another contract. Still our best player. That is it. We are done for tonight and for the season. What a ride. Hey, if you missed any of this or any of our other shows, analysis, videos and interviews, get yourself across to our Norfolk Now YouTube channel. And that goes for the summer as well, when we'll be keeping you abreast with all the transfer rumour, speculation and knowledge you could wish to know. There is one more, my goodness me. There is one more thing to plug. Our special Pink and Live event at Archant Towers on Thursday from 6 p.m, where me and Darren Eadie, alongside EDP chief writer Paddy Davitt and columnist Melissa Rudd, will face questions from our live audience. Tickets are extremely limited, but if you do fancy joining us, then you can see if you can send off a quick email, you might get in. Send that to norfolksport@archant.co.uk. You'll be able to watch the full debate live on the Pink and Facebook page and then on Mustard TV come Friday night. But for now, a big thank you to Darren Eadie for lighting up a torrid season, to John, who mastered that same art with his What Happened videos, and to Greg for joining us on our final show of the campaign. Likewise, producer Jake and his remarkable goalkeeping skills, plus all the Pink and Match Day team, as well as to you guys and girls for watching, calling and being part of the programme. This has been the Pink and Show. Until next season, here's to that battery charger working and summer being the start of something altogether more successful. But regardless, we'll be back to cover every bobble and worldie. Goodbye. Bye.